The Rachel Hollis Podcast is proudly sponsored by Amica Insurance. As Amica says, empathy is our best policy. That's why they'll go above and beyond to tailor your insurance coverage to best fit your needs. Whether you're on the road, at home, or traveling along life's journey, their friendly and knowledgeable representatives will work with you to ensure that you have the right coverage in place. Amica will provide you with peace of mind. Go to amica.com to get a quote today.
From Disney, on March 21st, the musical movie event of the year arrives in theaters.
My name is Snow White.
Flawless.
Exquisite.
Get tickets now. Snow White will have you on your feet
I think that's a wonderful idea.
and cheering for more.
I was thinking the same thing.
Experience the magical story.
Magic mirror on the wall. Who's the fairest one of all?
Snow White.
Disney's Snow White. Only in theaters March 21st. Rated PG. Parental guidance suggested. Tickets on sale now.
You've acquired all of these other incredible skills that serve you really well in life. So why do you think you can't acquire the skill that's your passion? In fact, you should be way more able to do the thing that's your passion because you love it so much. That means that even when you suck at it, you're way more excited to keep trying. Hear me say this. Hear me say this. If you're willing to work at it, you will improve. If you are willing to work at this, you will get better. You just need to reframe failure. You can't see me, I'm using air quotes. It's like it's your first draft. It's you trying something and seeing, okay, this worked, this didn't work. It's just data. Instead of obsessing over, I failed, I screwed up, I fell off the wagon, I didn't do, just be like, okay, what did I learn and how can I do better next time? Hey guys, it's Rach. Welcome to the show. I'm so glad that you're here with us today. And I have a favor, which sounds kind of harsh if we just met, but I'm assuming that most of you have been a part of this community for a hot minute. And so I gotta ask, are you subscribed to the podcast? Subscribing to the podcast you listen to regularly is one of the best things that you can do for hosts like me. It helps to support the show and the staff that works on it. It ensures that you never miss an episode when we drop a new one. And here's the cool thing about subscribing. If you do it and then you hate this show, just unsubscribe. It's one click away. In the meantime, if you're listening, we would so appreciate it if you would just tap that button and make it official. Hi guys, it's Rachel. Welcome to another episode of the podcast. Today we're talking about the fear of not being good enough. Not being blank enough, not being smart enough, not being strong enough, not being well connected enough. We all have our version of not blank enough. Specifically today, I want to talk about those times in our lives where we feel like we're really bad at something, especially if the thing we feel bad at is something we really enjoy doing. Today's episode is inspired by a story that my son told me. So the other night, my son comes home from middle school and he says, we had a talent show today. And I'm like, oh, cool. Like, who did what? You know, I know some of his friends. So I'm like, did any of your friends get up there? You know, what happened? And he said, oh, Mom, there was this moment that was so sad. One of the girls in my class got up and she was going to sing a song. And she started to sing, and you could tell that she was getting more and more nervous. And the more nervous she got, the worse she sounded. And she could tell that she was getting worse. And the audience was feeling how the audience was feeling. And it escalated more and got more and more terrible until finally she stopped singing. She ran off the stage crying. I mean, my eyes are tearing up just telling you guys that story because it's just so gut-wrenching. I think everyone listening to this podcast has been in middle school, so you can imagine what it would feel like to put yourself out there at the talent show and bomb, right? It's just so harsh. What a harsh life lesson for this little girl at such a young age. And I haven't stopped thinking about it, and I really wanted to do an episode because I don't know this little girl's name. I'll never have the opportunity to tell her this thought, but I want to speak to the little girl in you. I want to speak to the little boy in you. I want to speak to the version of you who tried something a long time ago, and someone told you were not good enough to keep doing it. And so you gave up. Like, what did you used to love that you stopped doing because somewhere along the way, someone said, if you can't be the best there is, you shouldn't do this. Or someone said, you'll never make money, you'll never make a living doing that. I want to speak to the version of you that someone created a story in your mind about what you're allowed to pursue. I want to speak to anybody who has some twisted idea of what talent actually is, just in case somewhere in this audience is incredible untapped potential that has been hiding behind a wound created in childhood by someone who should have never been allowed to tell you your worth. So that's what I want to talk about today. This one is for anyone who's ever given up on something they loved because they thought they weren't good enough. Let's begin right here with singing, right? This is something, I don't know a person on this planet who doesn't secretly wish they had a beautiful singing voice. Some of you have a beautiful singing voice. You're like, I've got it and it's awesome. The rest of us, I shouldn't say the rest of us, I'm going to guess a pretty big majority of the world would think it was lovely to have a beautiful voice. Here is the crazy thing about singing. And you can, side note, fill in the blank for any other talent in life, but let's just focus on singing for a minute. Here's something nobody told me when I was younger. Singing is a skill. Singing is a skill. Now, absolutely, are there people who come into this world with the voice of a songbird? 100%. But also, are there a lot of really successful singers on this planet right now making millions of dollars a year and selling out stadiums because they honed their craft and worked on their skill for decades, and now their voice, which is a muscle, is fantastic? Absolutely. And if you don't believe that's true, you need to go on YouTube and watch videos of some of the most successful singers today and how they sounded when they first began. It's wild. It's so wild. And it's one of the most inspiring things that you can watch, because most of us believe that if we were meant to do something, we would be naturally great at it. But the truth is, almost no one starts out as great. And there's that fantastic old quote, which I think is from maybe like a college football coach or something, that says, hard work beats talent when talent won't work hard. I interviewed Molly Fletcher recently. She's a former sports agent. And she said, talent will get you a seat at the table, but talent will not keep you there. The harsh reality is that we are so shaped by early experiences, and many of us grew up going to school with adults. Like, think about this. I'm in my 40s, which means I grew up and went to school in the 80s and 90s, and there were way less people back then who were interested in self-work or therapy or trauma. So you had a bunch of teachers who, some of whom were the most amazing humans on this planet who had dedicated their lives to educating young minds. And then there were also teachers, you had some who were there for a paycheck, and they should not have been allowed to be teaching children at all. I can think of at least 5 in my school growing up who were so terrible and should never have been allowed around children, let alone to educate them. So if you've got these people as teachers, or if you've got these people as parents of children who are operating through the lens of their own unresolved childhood crap, what do you think is the likelihood that they will intentionally or unintentionally do damage on us as kids because they have unhealed things? So if you ever tried to do something and your parents snapped at you, or they told you sounded bad, or shut up, you're talking too much, or whatever your version of this is, that one bad experience as a child could be even more. But even one bad experience as a child, like a teacher's comment, or you're like the little girl who had a bad performance at the talent show, or you experience this moment of embarrassment, that one thing can make you avoid doing something for the rest of your life. Think about it. How many people never sing in public again after someone tells them that they have a bad voice? If someone told me when I was a kid that singing was a skill, I promise you, I would not be recording this podcast. And the reason I would not be recording this podcast is because I would be Kristen Chenoweth. Okay, I would be one of the greatest living Broadway stars on the planet. If someone had explained to me that singing was a skill, because I grew up doing musical theater and I loved it so much, but I was in the chorus because I thought I didn't have a good voice and I didn't know that having a better voice was something I could work on. Oh my gosh. You would know my name, but you would know my name because you were like, oh, that's the chick that won 15 Tonys. That was my childhood dream. That's probably why every time I get on stage to do a keynote, I'm like dancing and trying to hype you up, because secretly I'm still trying to live out, I'm on stage, let me entertain these people. That's a really important perspective shift that I hope you consider today. What if you were actually meant to do that thing that you love? And what if the reason life feels so hard and you feel so stuck is because you are living out a life that does not align with your natural talents and interests? There's also this fear of judgment. Like, we're so terrified of what other people are going to think of us. We're more terrified in what they think of us than we are of actually failing. But my gosh, what a waste of your life. What a waste of a life that could be filled with joy because you were doing this thing that lit your heart up. So here's the truth. You get better by doing. You get better by doing. And you have to be bad before you can be good. Every expert, every person that you admire was once a beginner. We all know the story. Michael Jordan didn't make his varsity team, had to work really hard to get on that team. There's a million examples of the greatest in the world who started out pretty average. Your first attempts are gonna be awkward, but bro, that is how you are gonna get better. To acquire a skill, you have to build it like a muscle. You have to keep working on it again and again and again. But you need to understand that singing, writing, painting, being a keynote speaker, being a parent, running a business, these are all learned skills. And think of how many skills you already have in other areas of your life. You didn't know how to drive a car the first time you got behind the wheel, right? You didn't know how to use a computer the first time you sat down at a keyboard. You didn't know how to do your job the first day on the job. You've acquired all of these other incredible skills that serve you really well in life. So why do you think you can't acquire the skill that's your passion? In fact, you should be way more able to do the thing that's your passion because you love it so much. That means that even when you suck at it, you're way more excited to keep trying. Hear me say this. Hear me say this. If you're willing to work at it, you will improve. If you are willing to work at this, you will get better. You just need to reframe failure. You can't see me, I'm using air quotes. it's like it's your first draft. It's you trying something and seeing, okay, this worked, this didn't work. It's just data. Instead of obsessing over, I failed, I screwed up, I fell off the wagon, I didn't do, just be like, okay, what did I learn and how can I do better next time? I think you guys know this, but in case you don't, my happy place is on the beach. Actually, that's not enough. My happy place is on the beach with an iced coffee in my hand. What a vibe. There are a lot of beaches out there, but there's only one people call the beach. Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, is made up of 14 coastal communities and 60 miles of sunny beaches. Together, they create a place that makes you feel like you belong. Shine and dine in a foodie haven with oceanfront patios, fresh seafood, low country classics, and southern favorites. Plus, my favorite, you can listen to live music any day of the year, outside at laid-back beach bars, at world-renowned theaters, or right on the boardwalk. You belong at Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Plan your trip to the beach at visitmyrtlebeach.com. Look, everyone knows that toilet paper is not created equal. Not all rolls are the same. Some are too soft. Some, can we say, sort of crumble, if you know what I'm saying. Then other toilet paper is so strong that it can actually hurt. And let's not even talk about the toilet paper that is so thin, it doesn't get the job done. Angel Soft is soft and strong and always affordable. Come on, life is too short. There's too much going on. I don't want to have to overthink this. So pick up a pack of Angel Soft in the toilet paper aisle of your nearest retailer. That's Angel Soft, soft and strong. Simple. All right, it's easier said than done though, I'm sure, because if you felt courageous about this passion of yours, you wouldn't need to listen to this podcast episode. So let's talk a little bit about fear and some of the things that you can do to navigate around it. First of all, you need to remember why you started. If you love something, like really love something, that's reason enough to keep doing it. And the passion that you have for this thing matters way more than perfection. Focus on the parts of it that you enjoy. Why does it feel good? Why do you like doing this thing? You like singing because when you were little, like it would make your mom smile and it felt so great to sing in a choir and whatever, like tap back into what it is about the situation that makes you feel so good. Why did you start doing this thing? You need to shift into using the word yet. I'm not a good singer yet. I'm not a good writer yet. Adding yet to your thoughts, perspective shift. Yeah, you can't do it yet. If you are willing to work at it, if you're willing to try, I promise you, you will get better. Pay attention to your progress. I talked about this recently, this idea of micro wins. Those little tiny moving forward by an inch kind of things that remind you that you are headed in the right direction. The beauty of a passion like this is that while it might feel challenging, if you're willing to practice, if you're willing to rehearse, if you're willing to sit down and write the words, if you're willing to go to the tap class again, if you're willing to do the things that you need to do, you should always be experiencing little movements in some direction, even if they're not massive. Deliberate practice looks like a tiny bit forward, a tiny bit forward, a tiny bit forward, a tiny bit forward. And then all of a sudden, you see these exponential results in a bunch of different directions because you're just doing the work. Look, you are your own worst critic. If you are a human being, you are your own worst critic. So what would it look like to be your biggest cheerleader? Stop talking to yourself so hatefully. In fact, there's some psychology on this, that if you tap into the negative self-talk in the back of your mind and you describe that person and how you see them, it will often take on the characteristics of someone from your childhood who used to put limiting beliefs on top of you. Unpack that one with your therapist later. Learn to talk to yourself like a child who is learning, like someone that you love. If we were there, if you and I were there in that audience and that little girl had that moment in front of us, and I'm positive, my son goes to an incredible school, so I'm positive teachers, and I'm so positive that the other adults around her pumped her up. But if you and I were sitting there, we would have been out of our seats. We would have found that little girl backstage. We would have hyped her up. We would have told her stories about how we messed up when we were little. And she did such a good job for even having the courage to go out there. That takes so much guts in middle school. What a freaking hero. We would have done that for her. So if we would have done that for a little girl we don't even know, what can you do for your younger self? How can you reparent yourself in this moment? How can you speak to yourself right now the way someone should have spoken to you 30 years ago? How can you do that? And that's a skill just like anything else. Learning to reparent yourself, learning to speak to yourself with kindness, that's a skill, just like working on your vocal warm-up exercises. Okay, let me give you another perspective on this too. Imagine what the world misses out on when people quit. Let's think about it for a minute. Think about your favorite books. Think about your favorite songs, your favorite artists, or even the businesses that you admire. All of them started in a rough place. All of them started as a rough draft. And we have to surmise, because we are humans and we know how hard it is, that it must have been hard for that artist to finish the painting. It must have been hard for that author to finish the book that you love. It must have been hard for Nike to keep going when they almost went bankrupt like 50 times. Read Shoe Dog by Phil Knight. It's amazing. It must have been hard. Think of what you get to experience every day that you wouldn't get to experience if they had given up. Have you ever heard about the most expensive real estate in town? Have you ever heard this? The most expensive real estate in your town is the graveyard. It's where all of the biggest businesses, the most successful actors, the most incredible books, the most incredible songs that never got created, they're all buried in that ground, which makes it the most expensive real estate in town, because all of those people went to their grave with their magic still locked inside of them. So what do we miss out on if you continue to ignore this passion of yours? What do you lose out on if you continue to ignore this passion of yours? Your future self is counting on you. She's counting on you. He's counting on you. The version of yourself that you know you can be, even if you're not admitting it to yourself. I'll bet you money there are a whole lot of people listening today who are not admitting to themselves the true calling of their heart, the true passion that their 80-year-old self is desperate for them to step into. What if your best work, what if your happiest moments, what if your biggest breakthroughs are on the other side of you being too afraid to suck at something? Imagine if 5 years from now you could look back on this moment. Wouldn't this be amazing? It's my podcast episode. You're driving in your car. You remember the exact moment and the road that you were on when you had the holy crap. 5 years from now, I could be living my dream life, but I'm over here being an accountant because I gave up on the fact that I wanted to sing opera. What did you give up on before you even really started? And y'all, maybe this thing that you love and this passion of your heart, maybe you're not going to make any money off of it. In the US, we have such a gross idea that if you can't be a millionaire at something, it's not worth your time. Being lit up on the inside, that is something money cannot buy. That is what we're all trying to get to. So even if you're not sure you could ever make a single dime, it'd be worth it. It'd be worth it because you would be practicing one of the most incredible kinds of self-care that you can, which is seeing and acknowledging who you really are. Not everybody is lucky enough to have people in their life who see and love them for who they are. But you could do that for yourself. You could be maybe the only one who knows who you really are. And by pursuing this hobby, you at least are spending some of your time in pursuit of what your heart tells you is true. Will you get pushback? If anybody knows about it, probably. And maybe you're super lucky. Maybe everyone in your environment is very supportive and kind, and they're your hype squad. Most humans have at least one person in their life who will respond to this thing that you already feel really tender and really sensitive about in a way that makes you feel not supported. So if you encounter criticism, you have to remind yourself that all criticism is not created equal. If you want to be an opera singer, you have this secret passion, you've always wanted to be an opera singer, and you sign up for lessons with a vocal coach. If the vocal coach is giving you feedback, fantastic person to listen to. If your mother, who has never sung, never pursued something artistic, not creative at all, if she's giving you feedback, you can go ahead and ignore it. And maybe you're thinking, well, it's my mother. This is a woman who gave birth to me. She's so important in my life. Fantastic. But babe, if she hasn't succeeded at the thing you're trying to pursue, do not listen to her. Listen to her when she gives you advice or feedback on things she is great at. But we should never take advice from someone who has not had success in the area we are trying to be successful. Let me even give that more nuance. Don't take advice from someone who hasn't had more success in the area you are trying to pursue. I love finding ways to commemorate really important experiences in my life. Usually, if you look at my wrist, you will see it stacked with bracelets that do just that. And if you want to celebrate your unique story, check out Pandora Jewelry. They're crafted with meaning and exquisite artistry, from sparkling lab-grown diamonds to vibrant enamels, personalized engravings, and their iconic charms. Pandora offers endless ways to express what's in your heart. Every day is a chance to be love. Let Pandora Jewelry remind you that love starts with you. Shop in-store or online at pandora.net. It's 2025, guys. And if you are busy, you're working, you're trying to make great choices for your life, your health, your family, you've got to start using Thrive Market. Thrive Market's products are 100% non-GMO and free from over 1,000 harmful ingredients. So when you're shopping on Thrive, you know that anything you find is going to be good for you and your family. Plus, you can scan a product you're used to buying, something that's in your pantry right now, and the Healthy Swap scanner will instantly recommend cleaner, healthier alternatives. The best part about Thrive, I think, is that you put things on a subscription. So when the pantry starts getting low, all of a sudden in the mail is everything you need to restock for school lunches and after school snacks. It is the best. Ready for a junk-free start to 2025? Head to thrivemarket.com/Rach and you get 30% off your first order plus a free $60 gift. That's THRIVE market.com/Rach. thrivemarket.com/Rach. I've had this happen so many times in business where someone who does what I do will give me advice on how to do it. I'll take anybody. I'm like, oh yeah, you have a penis. You probably know better than me. And so I'll run in a direction. And I had to teach myself this rule. I will only take advice from you if you've had more success. If you've had less success, but you're trying to tell me how to do it differently when I'm experiencing more success than you are not the advisor I'm looking for. Learn to filter the feedback. Everything that you're going to take in, take on, think through, it all requires energy from you. We do not have time to spend energy on areas that don't add to this thing we're trying to do. Now, let me add this little nugget to the criticism moment. Let me add this little thought under the heading of criticism. There's a big difference between criticism and critique. I'm sure someone wiser than me could tell you the definitions of those things, but how I look at those two is criticism is not helpful. Criticism is you just saying something to say something, but a critique from someone that I trust, from someone who is more successful than me, from someone maybe that I'm paying to coach me through this process, a critique is gold. Y'all, you have to be able to look at the truth of your life. You need to see things as they actually are. Not worse than they are, not better than they are, but actually as they are. It is so essential. You need to know what is true so you know how you can get better. If you are trying to learn to play the violin and you're practicing your scales and your brother hears you and he's like, you suck. That sounds awful. Like nobody wants to hear that. That's criticism. That's not going to help you. But if your teacher watches you practice your scales and they say, it sounds really flat, and it sounds really flat because you're going too quickly through the motions, you're trying to rush it, you need to go slower, you need to make sure that your finger strength is getting stronger, you need to hold down, that's a critique. That's gold. That is what you need to get better. If your ego is so big or so fragile that you can't take in the ideas for improvement from a professional, you're never going to make as much progress as you want to. Do not be afraid of the truth. Be afraid of being the kind of person who is so insecure that they can't take the truth into their awareness. I assume as I'm going through each of these ideas and talking about this topic, I assume that y'all are thinking of things in your life that you quit or maybe never started because you thought you weren't good enough. So my challenge for you is, what's one tiny action you can take to start again? What could you do? Maybe it's something nobody needs to know about. Maybe let's use singing as an example again. I guarantee if you went on YouTube, there are vocal instructors who have made YouTube videos that you could just start practicing scales with a vocal instructor. Guaranteed. Maybe that's one small thing and you do it. Nobody knows you're doing it. Like maybe you do it in your car on the way to work. No one can even hear you. But you know that you're taking an action to lean into this thing that you used to be excited about. If this conversation resonated with y'all, I would so appreciate if you would share it on your social, if you would send it out to a friend so that they know about the kind of work that we're doing here on the show. And if you want to take a deeper dive into this topic, there is a chapter in the new book that asks, what would you do if you knew you could not succeed? So we all know that phrase. What would you do if you knew you could not fail? And it encourages you to think of the things that you might pursue if you knew you'd be great at them. But Seth Godin has this quote I love so much, I stole it, that says, what would you do if you knew you could not succeed? What is the thing that you love so much that even if you never made a penny at it, it would be worth having as a hobby? If you want to take a deeper dive into that conversation, it's a chapter of my new book, What If You Are the Answer, and 26 other questions that just might change your life. It's all about going deep and asking yourself really good questions to figure out what comes next for you. If you like the sound of my voice, I am the one who narrates the audiobook, which is available on audio. I will be back soon. I'll be back tomorrow, actually, with more conversations just like this one. Until then, as always, I love you, and I'm rooting for you. The Rachel Hollis Podcast is produced by me, Rachel Hollis. It's edited by Andrew Weller and Jack Noble. Don't miss Grand Slam deals going on now at Academy Sports and Outdoors from March 3rd to March 16th. If you are a sports mom like I am, this is the time of year to get the deals. Get up to 50% off bats, gloves, and training gear from brands like Rawlings, Easton, Wilson, Marucci, Louisville Slugger, and more. Need it fast? Choose same-day delivery powered by DoorDash. Order by 4 p.m., get it by 8 p.m. Shop your local Academy store or academy.com.
Building a business may feel like a big jump, but OnDeck Small Business Loans can help keep you afloat. With lines of credit up to $100,000 and term loans up to $250,000, OnDeck lets you choose the loan that's right for your business. As a top-rated online small business lender, OnDeck's team of loan advisors can help you find the right business loan to fit your needs. Visit OnDeck.com for more information. Depending on certain loan attributes, your business loan may be issued by OnDeck or Celtic Bank. OnDeck does not lend in North Dakota. All loans and amounts subject to lender approval.